Hey guys, so welcome back. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. So today we're going to make a puppy mask. Let me change real quick and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, so this puppy mask was super simple to make. It only cost a few dollars. All you need is some fake fur, some felt, and a little button for the nose. Ridiculously easy to make, and at Dollywood it was a absolute hit. Let me show you what you need and we'll do this. Alright guys, so at Hobby Lobby they sell fake fur over in the fabric section. As you can see, this is slightly different than what my puppy mask was. So here is the puppy mask that I showed you before. It is nothing more than a button, some felt, and this fake fur, and just a little bit of elastic. So we're going to try to get through this fairly easily. This took me originally about 15 minutes. It might take you a little longer or a little less depending on your abilities to sew. As you can see, I am not really good at sewing, but I can sew a knot. So that's basically all it did, is just tie it together. So let me show you how I got started and what you need. So the first thing you need is, of course, the fur. This fur is slightly different than what I used originally. I just want to try something different. So this fur, I bought 1/3 of a yard, which cost me, 1/3 of a yard cost me exactly $6.32. I also bought some others because we have some other plans to do, but that is for another video. So this is 13 inches by right about 9 inches. If you have a smaller face, you would use less. If you have a larger face, of course, use more. I got a big old fat head, so I need all the extra I can get. So we're going to go lengthwise. You also need some thread. I didn't happen to have black, but dark blue works. Nobody's ever going to see it. And some elastic. I went ahead and went with a slightly wider elastic than what this is. I found that the wider elastic is actually more comfortable. And I have just some felt. Just real simple felt, nothing particular about it. And there's my button. I will say this, I really like this little clip. This clip actually comes off of the cardstock to keep it on the card, but on my puppy mask, I was able to just poke a hole through it and put the little clip in. So, like I said, this is the fur. So, first thing we need to do is figure out which side we want to use for our face. So, my face is wide, so I'm going to go with the wide length. If you notice, I have two different pieces on this mask. Let's move that out of the way so it's a little easier to see. Oops, hot glue. Alright, so with this mask, there's actually two pieces. There is the bottom piece, which is nothing more than a straight line and the bottom edge cut off here. The back side may be even better. So that's the original lines, and then it's rounded out. So what I did is, this was originally the square, and I just simply took this piece that I cut off and attached it to the top on the other side. Really, really simple. Let me show you how to cut fur. Because if you don't cut it right, you'll end up cutting the fur and it looks real blunt and it looks kind of weird. So what I do is I grab a brush, find out where I want, how much I want, find out how long I want it. So I want it to start about here. So all I'm going to do is take the fur and I'm going to brush it. This is an old brush we don't hardly use. So I'm going to part the hair just like you normally would. Say, let me find a good line. Now I only want to do half of this right now. I'll show you why here in just a minute. So here is the good part line. Let me show you what happens real quick if you don't do this. So right here is just some scrap. If I go through here and just cut, you end up cutting off a lot of your fur and it doesn't look as good. So like I said, here we're just going to part it. I want just a gentle arch. So I'm going to go about halfway. I'm going to run the scissors along that part line. Okay, so, and now what I'm going to do is take it, fold it over, and I'm going to comb that fur the opposite direction. I'm just holding it down with that. And what that does is that gives you a nice even line. So that way it kind of, you get even. You don't have to try to guess where the other line should be. So that looks about right to me. So here is that bottom piece that I cut off, and there's the top. So what we're going to do is this will now be the top to attach this to. So one of the things I need to do is, I'll be right back. I'm going to take this outside because every time you cut this, there is, this fabric is everywhere. So let me go outside, I'll shake this out real good, and I'll be right back. I took the fabric out. As you can see, it's all shaken. The good thing about this fake fur is that there is no real like grain. So the fur will pretty much go any direction you want it to go. So when we lay this up, if you notice on mine, it's a little bit different. Now, of course, it is different fur, which will act differently. But one of the things I did is I went underneath where I was going to line that up, and I trimmed it out. So to do that, I'm going to figure out where I want to put this. I don't want to overlay it exactly. I don't want it over top, because what that does, it really makes it bulky, and that's just not the kind of look I want to go for. So I want to go just a few inches, just a little bit below that. Let's see how far that actually is. It's right about an inch. So we're right about an inch below where that line is. So I'm going to take my needle and thread, and all I'm going to do is attach probably about 6 different spots. Probably about one here, so on, so on. Just kind of hold it in place. So if you're wondering what I'm doing, all I'm doing is simply tuck it in. I snag the bottom. I bring it up, loop it around, bring it in tight, and then I just loop it back around, and then I tie my knot. All I'm doing is trying not to tie 14 different knots on this thing, so they're all just kind of chained together. Alright, so now that it is sewn together, it really doesn't have much definition. Let me turn around where you can see it. It doesn't have a lot of definition. Well, a lot of that is because it's so bulky under here. So what I want to do is I'm going to comb some of this up. And what I'm doing is seeing where it hides. What I mean by that is when it folds over, I want to make sure that is still hidden. So everything from here up is not seen. So what really, it doesn't matter a whole lot how you do this. I'm just going to eyeball it and just really quick, just kind of trim. And this will give it better definition. You'll be able to see better, not see better, but you'll see the top looks like it's a separate part and not just attached, or it kind of blends all in. A really big part of this is the trimming of this fabric. A little bit of that. So there, we just kind of trimmed it out. As you can see, it already has a little bit more definition. So as we're going along, I'm going to trim up some of this more. As you can see here on the puppy one, I have it kind of going to the sides, but is relatively shorter than what you see down here. So I know this is going to be up around the eye line. You have up around the eyes. Well, the problem with this is that this fuzz wants to poke you in the face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and just trim all that off. So you can see exactly where you're going. Because that's something you definitely want, is to know where you're going. And hopefully this turns out well. I've never used this fabric before. I'm trying to figure out where to trim from. I just know I do want all this out of my face. I don't want it blowing up my eye and poking my eye and all that good stuff while I'm trying to walk. It can be fairly dangerous. Now this, you do want to be a little bit more particular on how it looks, but it won't matter a great deal by the time you get done. Look, I even took out a little too much there. That's okay. Nobody will ever know the difference. Just you and me, all four of us that watch this video. Five if I can get Roxy to watch it with me. 6 if Ruby will be in the room, but only problem is we're all under the same account. Alright, so as you can see, with that fur trimmed, it's starting to get a little bit more definition. You can see. So as you can see, it's definitely starting to, pardon the pun, up. So I'm going to comb it out some, kind of see where I want. I'm going to trim off some of this. I do like that where it overlays. I do like that. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever dealt with this fabric, so I'm just kind of with you, just kind of learning as I'm going here. Just wonder. I do know I need a place for my nose, so here will be the nose, right about here. So I'm going to trim that back just a little bit extra, just so I have a little bit more definition around the nose. I'm going to use the same button again. I do like this button on the fabric. I think it looks really like a dog nose. I do have some other buttons that we found somewhere. Here we go. Now this is the front side of the button. I wasn't very impressed by that, but I did like the back side. And I thought the back side might make a really neat little nose as well. Again, these are simple craft products you can find at Hobby Lobby is where we found them. I'm sure Michael's carries them. Walmart didn't carry any fake fur, so it did make it a little harder there. So I'm just going to kind of trim this up some. And you can do as much or as little as you like. I'm trying to remember exactly what I did on there. But I think that may be about where I want it. I do like the fuzz where it overlays. I don't want to trim too much of that away. I do want to trim a little bit more of this. I want to make sure I trim only the top. And if you're not real sure about this, like I said, I bought 1/3 of a yard. 1/3 of a yard made or will make 3 masks. And you will have a section about like this that's left over. So if I mess this all up, I could still go in and I could probably fix it. I could probably just put another piece over top. But let's hope that I don't mess it up. So I'm just going to comb it out some. I think I'm pretty happy with that. It may take a little bit more trimming, but I think I'm pretty happy with that altogether. So as far as the button goes, we're going to find the center and just simply poke a hole. So there's the center, and I want my nose to be about here. And this is probably not the proper way of doing this. Poke my scissors through. Alright, so real simple, just a hole. And all I'm going to do is it has this little clip. Pull the clip out. I'm going to poke the nose or the whole back of the button. This is a little tricky though, I will say that. Let's see, back here. 5 hours later. Is that it? I think so. This is the hardest part, I will say that. Out of everything here, I think putting the button nose on was the hardest thing I had to do. There we go. Alright, so let's see if I can keep that. My problem was that I put the fabric down and then I lost where my finger had been. So there's that, and I'm just going to simply slide that back through. And now that nose is in place. Look, I didn't even have to sew it or anything. Now with just, like I said, just a little trim, all of a sudden, it's already looking so much better. So what I need to do now is, so we have our elastic. This is $2 Hobby Lobby, and this will probably be more than enough to do 3 or 4 masks. Probably way more than enough. So to measure this, all I'm going to do, I don't measure things really well. Let me take my hat off too. And fur. So I'm going to take this, and I'm simply just going to measure. I'm going to measure from my sideburn. Get that flat. Alright, I'm going to measure from my sideburn to about my sideburn. I'm going to give myself a little extra because you can always cut off more. You can't add it back. One thing I would recommend too is if you have elastic and you cut it. Ooh, I'm going to burn my face. I just burn the end, and what that does is that keeps it from fraying out. You can also do that to ribbon. And all it does is keep that from fraying out. Like I said, all we're going to do is I'm going to go in just, say, 1 inch on each side, maybe a little more. About 1 inch, and I'm just going to sew that real quick. Right, there's one side, and I'm going to go ahead and do the other. So we just got the mask done. Let's try it on and see if it needs any tweaks. So here it is. It is over my face, over my ears, because I wanted my ears kind of be covered up anyways. Like I said, if you wanted, you could trim this back, make it a little shorter. You make it a little longer, you have a really long one. Now this fabric is a little thicker than my other puppy mask, but I think it's still kind of breathable. It does need a couple little tweaks. I think it needs a little bit more trimming. Let's finish it up and I'll show you the very last of it. Alright, so here is the mask. Like I said, I'm pretty happy with it. I think I'm going to go in maybe a little later and trim it up some. It's still kind of poking me in the eyes up around here, so this needs to be trimmed out a little bit better. I got a few little spots. But I wanted to show you the tongue. So this is felt. You can get it for like, I don't know, 30 cents. All I'm going to do is basically cut out an oval with a flat side. Really, really simple. Just an oval with a flat side, almost like a jelly bean. Let me see if I can't find a marker. Of course, the only marker I can find right now is a purple marker. So all I'm going to do is to give this tongue a little definition. Simply draw down the middle. And that's it. So what I do is I'll find a spot, say right here. Let's comb all the hair out in both directions, just like we did before, just a simple part. And we're going to attach this. And we are going to attach this with just a little bit of hot glue. It's a little dot here. And I mean, just, I don't want to go crazy because, I'm not real sure if I want a tongue on this one. And I'm just going to press it for just a few seconds. Let the glue set. Ooh, pull my thumb with it. Alright, so give this a good shake, and we're going to try it on. Alright, so let's do the final reveal, but before we get to that, make sure you like and subscribe, hit that bell icon below, and you'll get more videos like this, maybe even better. We do have a couple more of these mask ideas to come up. That is it. Let's throw the hat on, kind of get the full effect. Like I say, you can get a little thinner fabric. You can alter this all you want, make it your own. You can put a big tongue, you have no tongue. We kind of thought it looked like Chewbacca when we first got it. So if you take the tongue off of this one, it's Chewbacca. So that is our whole tutorial. Now, Ruby has a really great idea for this particular fabric, which is just super, super silky and really, really thin. So it should be really breathable. This fabric that we used today was a little thick. I'm not real sure if it'd be too hot. Now, I am not a medical professional. I am not a medical anything. I do know that the masks are supposed to diffuse the air going out. So that's basically what these would do. And quite honestly, I think something like this would be a whole lot better at diffusing than, say, a bandana. So it is a really good way, a really easy way to have a lot of fun. We got a lot of compliments on the mask. It was just really something simple that I think just about anybody can do. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Make sure you like and subscribe, hit the bell icon below, and you'll get more videos like this. Till next time, guys.